कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद श्री राधे जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय गुरुदेव 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 हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज जी की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav course. So today is a very auspicious day. Today is Lord Narsimhadev appearance, Sri Narsimha Chaturdashi. However, I did hear through devotees yesterday that this appearance of Lord Narsimhadev is not exactly the day when the pastime of killing of Hiranyakashipu took place. So this is the day when Lord Narsimhadev appeared through a devotee couple family. As such, the pastime of killing of Hiranyakashipu, it occurred during the Adhik Mas. But still, this day signifies the appearance of Lord Narsimhadev in one form or another. And we specifically glorify him through his famous pastime of giving protection to Prahlad Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
You're very feeble, Prabhuji. Can't hear Prabhuji properly.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay,
Prabhuji.
fine. No problem. Is this better now?
Better now.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay, fine. So welcome you all on this auspicious day of Sri Narsimha Chaturdashi. So today we are starting with Canto 2, and Canto 2 as per the BBT is Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, the uh, sister organization of ISKCON established by Srila Prabhupada to publish his writings. So BBT gives the title of this particular canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as the cosmic manifestation. And as part of our subsequent discussion, we will also see how did Srila Prabhupada himself give titles for all the 12th cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam based on the 10 principal topics that are being discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. We will see references to some of that. And today, as such, we would see the background of the start of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, including some of the incidents that have been described in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and specifically culminating in the questions posed by Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev Goswami. So we'll go into the details of that as we proceed in the discussion. So section wise, Canto 2 relatively is smaller than first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it has got only 10 chapters. And these 10 chapters, they begin with specific answers by Shukadev Goswami to the questions asked by Maharaj Parikshit at the end of first canto, the two specific questions that Parikshit Maharaj poses. And the answer to those two questions, similar to the answer given by Suta Goswami to the first 6 questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya, that answer also begins first with glorifying the questions posed by Maharaj Parikshit, and then glorification of Bhakti Yoga compared to the other processes of yoga practice. So first 3 chapters of second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, they describe the superiority of Bhakti Yoga as the means to achieve complete perfection in one's life. And there are multiple famous verses. In fact, I wanted to write a note to everyone, but yesterday was quite busy and I couldn't. But this particular chapter of Canto 2, chapter 1, is in a way quite significant in Srimad Bhagavatam, similar to chapter 2 of Canto 1 that we saw. All of you remember, Prabhuji's, Mataji, so many famous and very important verses that are quoted by Srila Prabhupada as well as our present acharyas at various places in their discussions. All those verses starting with 1 to 6 onwards, which describe the process of Bhakti Yoga as the highest perfection, as the highest following of the Varnashram principle, as something which is only capable of completely satisfying the soul. So similar to that particular answer with which Srila Sutta Goswami begins his answering for the questions posed by sages of Naimisharanya, Shukadev Goswami also begins his answering for the questions that are posed by Maharaj Parikshit. So first 3 chapters are dedicated for that. Then, similar to the sages of Naimisharanya, Parikshit Maharaj also becomes very enthusiastic and enlivened, hearing the first set of answers that are given by Shukadev Goswami, and he does come up with a follow-up set of questions to know more about Lord Krishna's specific forms, qualities, and activities. And specifically, he also begins his inquiries further in detail to Shukadev Goswami, beginning with the activities of the Lord, starting with the process of creation. And in response to that particular inquiry by Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadev Goswami begins to refer to the conversation between Lord Brahma and Narada Muni. So specifically, as we had discussed in the introduction to Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam is all about references to various conversations. Primarily, Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Krishna himself to Lord Brahma, then Lord Brahma to Narada Muni, and from Narada Muni to Srila Vyasadev, plus Narada Muni to specific questions posed by Yudhishthir Maharaj. Those are answered in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then from Vyasadev to Shukadev Goswami, and so on, so forth, the line of disciplic succession comes in. However, in those conversations are also various other conversations being referred to, specifically the conversations between Maitreya Maharshi and Vidura. So Lord Krishna had, before his departure, instructed Uddhava in very important topics which subsequently came to be known as Uddhav Gita. And at that particular place and time was also present Maitreya Maharshi. And Maitreya Maharshi, Srimad Bhagavatam explains that Earlier, he was a Jnani, but in the association of Krishna and an exalted devotee like Uddhava, he rose to the platform of pure devotional service. And subsequently, Uddhava, not wanting to transgress the etiquette of Maryada Vyatikram. Maryada Vyatikram means when a senior devotee is present, we should prefer to hear from him rather than we ourselves speaking. That is the proper etiquette. So Uddhava, although in terms of spiritual advancement, the stature of spiritual advancement, he was much, much advanced, but he guided Vidura to Maitreya Maharshi to hear Krishna's message from him. So this specific conversation between Maitreya Maharshi and Maitreya Maharshi and Vidura is also being referred to by Shukadev Goswami, specifically while answering the questions posed by Maharaj Parikshit about the topics of primary and secondary creation. So, is everyone still with me? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, is it going too fast?
Prabhuji, I have a question, Prabhuji.
Mataji, yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I was under the impression that Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Vyasadeva to, to Shukadev Goswami. Originally he wrote it. But just now we come to know that Lord himself told it to Brahmaji.
Yes, yes.
Which is
So,
right, Prabhuji?
yeah, so both are right. First, the origin of Srimad Bhagavatam is Lord Krishna speaking to Lord Brahma. That is the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, where it began. And Srila Vyasadev's writing of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the first time it was written in a book form, seeing the fallen condition of people in Kali Yuga. But Srimad Bhagavatam existed even before that. Otherwise, how would Narada narrate Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Vyasadev? How would Brahma narrate Srimad Bhagavatam to Narada? And before that, Lord narrating Srimad Bhagavatam, describing Srimad Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma.
Yes,
is that all right? So both are true. Yeah. In the context, in terms of the chronology, Lord's description of Srimad Bhagavatam to Brahma in the form of Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, it comes first. Okay. Yes. But before Vyasadeva writing the book form, it was all coming in the form of Shruti. It was all coming in the form of oral reception. Okay. Yes, Guru describing to the disciple.
Hare Krishna.
So, thank you. Hare Krishna. So we discussed few conversations, including Lord Krishna's message to Brahmaji, Brahma's message to Narada, Narad Muni's message to Srila Vyasadeva teaching Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And similarly, there are other conversations which are being referred to, which is Maitreya Muni's conversation with Vidura based on Lord Krishna's message that was heard by Maitreya Maharshi. So this is one conversation. Another important conversation is Narada Muni's conversation with Yudhishthir Maharaj for various questions that were posed by Yudhishthir Maharaj to Narada Muni. So don't get too much bogged down by the chronological order as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. What we would put our focus on is the message from that conversation and the learnings. So this particular set of questions that were asked by Parikshit Maharaj, let's call them a secondary set of questions that dealt more with the three topics, namely the leave aside the name, the forms, qualities, and activities of the Supreme Lord. And within that activities, the answer was given by Shukadev Goswami by referring to the conversation between Brahma and Narada. And within that conversation also comes the conversation between Maitreya Maharshi and Vidura. So this is about Sarga Visarga. Sarga Visarga in plain English, it means the process of primary and secondary creation. And then subsequent follow-up questions that were posed by Maharaj Parikshit, because he was enlivened by those set of answers that were given by Shukadev Goswami to his earlier set of questions, and description of Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, the 4 verses that were originally spoken by Lord Krishna to Brahmaji. So we will go through these one after another. Now, to start with, first, as part of our discussion today, we have the group discussion, brainstorming discussion activity, which is the recollection of whatever points that we recollect, as all of you are already writing the open book essays from Canto 1 as well as preparing for the closed book exam. So all of you must be going deep dive into Canto 1. So let us revise some of the important points from Canto 1 that all of you remember, and maybe all of you take few minutes to structure your thoughts, and those devotees who want to answer can raise their hands. What are the important standout points, incidents that you recollect from Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam? And we would let devotees answer based on their recollection and inspiration. And then after few devotees have answered, then we will try and see in the chronological order as well. Hare Krishna. 1 second. So devotees can maybe give your thought and then structure your thoughts to answer. And we would want everybody to participate, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, especially if I see those devotees who don't often answer, they have not raised their hands, I would anyway feel free to ask them as well to unmute and speak. All right. Only 2 devotees have raised their hands. Can we request others as well? What all incidents from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 that you recollect? And keep your answers to brief so that we are able to give chances to many devotees. So maybe I will request devotees who don't often speak, please don't feel shy. Even if you feel that you are not correct 100%, nobody will judge you. Don't worry about that. So can I request Rati Prada Rajeshwari Mataji, Hare Krishna? Would you unmute Mataji? Hare Krishna. Rati Prada Rajeshwari Mataji. See, specifically, to be honest, although as part of the overall 100-mark scheme, devotees might be targeting specific score for open book essays, closed book essays, let me remind everyone that active participation as part of the classroom discussions is a very important aspect. And I personally do feel apprehensive that many of you might get caught in that particular aspect during qualification. So not just for our service to the whole group, even for your aspiration to earn a Bhakti Vaibhav degree, my suggestion is do participate actively in the session. Don't be surprised later on if I tell you that Prabhuji, Mataji, you might get only certificate for participation and not Bhakti Vaibhav, because participation in the class has hardly been anything there, or it has been very negligible. So don't get surprised. So for your own good, as well as to get in-depth understanding of what we are trying to study, do try and participate in the group discussions. Hare Krishna. So Ananta Ajiteshwar Prabhu, Hare Krishna, please unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. What incident do you
Prabhuji,
recollect?
I like the most the incident, most notable incident in Canto 1 was the departure of Parikshit Maharaj.
Okay.
So the incident cites that he was cursed by the young Brahmana, and this particular incident sets the stage for the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. As the king, the Maharaj Parikshit is seeking spiritual knowledge and enlightenment from Srila Shukadev, and this is that's where he gets the spiritual guidance from the sage Shukdev Maharaj. So this incident is mostly preferred by me, Prabhu, because this is set the platform for Srimad Bhagavatam and advent of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Ananta Ajiteshwar Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, Jagadananda Murari Prabhuji, please unmute. Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes.
Vasudeva, even though he is incarnation of Lord Krishna, First, he wrote about Vedas and Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda. And now, only after instruction of Narada, he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very important. Like, we all need gurus. Like, otherwise, even though, like, such a elevated Vasudeva could not write Bhagavatam first, only when after instruction of Narada he wrote. Like, we all need guru. And because of this Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, now also people are following that, then coming into Bhakti.
Thank you, Ishwar Murari Priya Mataji. So this deals with a very important topic of the need of Guru that Lord Krishna himself is manifesting through his literary incarnation, Srila Vyasadeva. How even after composing all different components of the Vedic literature, still he was feeling dissatisfaction, he was feeling void within his heart, and subsequently that particular void was analyzed. The reason for that particular void was analyzed, and very critical assessment of that was given to Srila Vyasadeva by his spiritual master Narada Muni. And there is one particular word that Srila Narada Muni used for Srila Vyasadeva's composition. That one thing was lacking, which was the repeated glorification of the pure devotional service of Lord Krishna, and not to have it covered by the four Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So Narad Muni specifically instructed Srila Vyasadeva to write a literature describing the pure devotional service with complete focus on the pure devotional service without any trace of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So thank you, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, for explaining that. Then Divya Rukmini Mataji, Hare Krishna, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, just want to, I'm just remembering the prayers of Kunti, like Krishna, while Krishna leaving the way, how she is praying to Lord and remembering all the things what Krishna did for the Pandavas and the gratitude she is showing. And the end of the prayer, she is telling that bhakti, how the bhakti should be, that Ganga is reaching the ocean like that without any interruption and deviation, just give to the lotus feet of the, always remember the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So that is what I remember. And even that Bhishma Studi as well. It's teaching a lot of things, like how Bhishma is on, and the arrow, bed of arrow, how he is welcoming the devotees and the great devotees. He is thinking like Krishna is, and Krishna is the great supreme personality of Godhead, and he is also thinking about the thing what Krishna did for himself. That sort of.
Thank you, Rukmini, Divya Rukmini Mataji. Hare Krishna. So what Mataji mentioned is Lord Krishna's interaction with his very dear devotees and their pouring of heart, including Queen Kunti's prayers as well as Bhishma Stuti that he offered on the deathbed. So maybe we'll ask one or two devotees. So specifically, I'm requesting devotees who have not usually spoken. So others, please don't mind. Okay, because
can I say a few words?
Hare Krishna. Mangalmay Mataji. Yes, Mataji, please.
In this Canto 1, no, I remember about Queen prayers of Queen Kunti. Because she is the mother of the Pandavas. What she felt, no, to the prayers of Lord Krishna, she expressed her gratitude towards Krishna.
Yes,
worldly happiness, her devotion and wisdom. She prays for more difficulties, believing that hardships bring her close to the God. That is the main point, Prabhuji. I understood very nicely that one.
Thank you, Mangala.
And another thing about the passing of the Bhishma Deva. That also very important thing. He remains absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, offering profound teachings on dharma and leadership before departing in full consciousness of the Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. The description for both these devotees are so exalted, especially some of the analogies what Srila Prabhupada explains to explain Bhishma Dev's love towards the Lord and the very high level of interaction in terms of exchange of the devotional mellows between Bhishma Dev and Lord Krishna. So thank you, Mangalamai Mataji. Maybe we will request one or two more devotees. Then we go to the next slide to go through chronological order. Tarini Krishna Kanta Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Panchanga pranams.
Dandas Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I like to add up about Draupadi mother's nature. When she got killed by Ashwatthama, Draupadi mother in Vama Swabhava, she didn't want to kill Ashwatthama.
Yes, she didn't want to cause the same pain to Droni,
Droni.
the wife, sorry, the Krupi, the sister of Krupacharya and wife of Dronacharya. What she herself was experiencing because of loss of her children.
Yes, Prabhuji, and Brahmana and Dronacharya's son, like that, so many things quoted. So
Yes,
I like that one, Prabhuji, in Canto 1.
Thank you, Mataji. And maybe we will request one more devotee, Venkata Narsimha Prabhu. Hare Krishna, please
Hare
unmute.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji.
This starts with chapter 1, in which the sages of Naimisaranya, so headed by Savankar Rishi, they have asked 6 questions to Swata Goswami. And based on the answers, this was developed. That is in the first chapter itself.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we see as Naimisharanya, as Venkata Narsimha Prabhuji mentioned, the description of the Canto 1, it begins after Srila Vyasadeva offers his obeisances to the Supreme Absolute Truth and describes his 7 various features, defines him. Then the description of first canto begins with the sages of Naimisharanya, they gathering together in Naimisharanya to perform a 1,000-year-long sacrifice for the well-being of people of Kali Yuga. And then Suta Goswami appearing on that scene and they offering that seat of honor to Suta Goswami, asking various questions, starting with the first and foremost question. What was the first question? Anyone? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? What was the first question by the sages of Naimisharanya?
What is the absolute and ultimate good for the purpose of in general? People in general.
What is the ultimate good for people in general? And second was, what is the essence of all the Vedic scriptures? And the answer to that question was begun by Suta Goswami. First, he offered the obeisances to various respectable personalities, and then the answer began with pure devotional service. How it is the only thing which can truly satisfy the soul. And then various verses starting from 1 to 6, almost till 1 to 16, 17, they all glorify pure devotional service as the ultimate good, as the ultimate perfection of the Varnashram, and how dharma is not meant for artha and artha is not meant for kama, but dharma is ultimately meant for moksha. And moksha in literal sense here doesn't literally mean the liberation, but to attain the Supreme Lord. So subsequently the other questions are also answered by Suta Goswami, including the third question being, why did Lord Krishna appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudev, and then Gunavatar and Leelavatar being requested to be described by sages of Naimisharanya. Suta Goswami answers that question, and final being, where did Dharma take shelter after the departure of Lord Krishna? So after all these questions were answered by the end of the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, then we see a follow-up set of questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. Anybody would like to describe those briefly? In summary, what were the follow-up set of questions? Anyone? Prema Prakash Haridas Prabhu, Hare Krishna. You want to describe? Or any one question? Or anyone else as well? Okay, no problem, Prabhuji. Sometimes it happens, we ask on the fly and we need some time to restructure our thought. Vivek Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Vivek Sharma, Prabhuji. Unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
This is what you are asking about Shaunaka Muni asking.
Yeah,
right?
Shaunakadi Rishi asking the follow-up
All of their few questions were asked in terms of, is it that in what period and what place it began, right?
Yeah. So they basically, yes, tell me.
And on that, I think I remember one question was there that why did Maharaj Parikshit give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death?
Yes.
And then how could this Parikshit Maharaj mortal body, which was the shelter for others?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Maybe we'll have one more devotee, and Shama Gopika Mataji, Hare Krishna, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the first question they asked was like, where did the Srimad Bhagavatam first taken up? And then how did Krishna Dvaipayan Vasa get the inspiration to compile the scripture?
Yes.
And then they were asking about Parikshit Maharaj, that Parikshit Maharaj being the great ruler, then how did he give up his life, which is like shelter for all the people, the citizens in there? Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So basically, the question dealt with the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, the description about the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, and description about the primary hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, namely Parikshit Maharaj, his glorious birth, life and activities, and his departure leading to the appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam. So these were the three on a high level set of questions. One was about the history, the speaker, the primary speaker, and the primary hearer. And the rest of the Canto 1, starting with chapter 4, it deals with Suta Goswami answering those follow-up set of questions, right? Starting with the appearance of Srila Narada Muni. Actually, it starts with the despondency and the void in the heart felt by Vyasadeva, and then how Narada Muni appeared to drive away that voidness and that despondency that was there in the heart of Srila Vyasadeva, and how Narada Muni describes to Srila Vyasadeva his own past life as the son of a maidservant. And that whole story is narrated by Narada Muni to explain how his whole heart, his life as well as his heart got transformed by the association and hearing from these Bhakti Vedantas the message of pure devotional service. And subsequently, after the departure of Narada Muni from that place, Srila Vyasadeva himself also meditates on the Supreme Lord, gets the darshan, also sees along with the Lord, his material energy, the Maya Shakti, standing behind as a shadow potency. And that history of Srimad Bhagavatam goes on till the beginning of 7th chapter, till text 11. And then the history of the background of Parikshit Maharaj's birth, it begins with the episode of Ashwathama committing this heinous act of killing the sleeping sons of Pandavas and Draupadi. And subsequently, as such, chronological wise, sequence wise, chapter 7, which is Ashwathama's punishment, was supposed to be followed by the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. But Suta Goswami, while describing this particular episode, he got so overwhelmed by the dealings of Lord Krishna with his pure devotees, specifically devotees like Queen Kunti, Maharaj Parikshit, Bhishmadev, etc., that he took a detour to describe the wonderful interactions with the Lord of these pure devotees and the heart pouring of the prayers that these devotees offer to Lord Krishna. And then the sages of Naimisharanya, they bring back Suta Goswami to their original inquiry, which was about to describe the birth, activities, and departure of Maharaj Parikshit. And then again, that particular resumption of the dialogue begins with chapter 12, which is the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. After Queen Kunti, Yudhishthir Maharaj and Bhishmadev, Suta Goswami also describes about Lord's interaction with his dear devotees in Dwaraka. So that episode is described. Then after the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, then Suta Goswami describes about Vidura coming back to Yudhishthir Maharaj's palace just to deliver his elder brother who was very dear to him, Dhritarashtra. And then Yudhishthir Maharaj seeing all the ominous symptoms, all the omens, bad omens, which denote to him the disappearance of Lord Krishna, and how his mind was not at all ready to accept that truth. And finally, the heart pouring, the pouring of the heart and the exchange between Arjuna and Yudhishthir Maharaj when Arjuna comes back from Dwaraka. As soon as Yudhishthir Maharaj, Pandavas, Kunti Devi, they confirm the news of the departure of Lord Krishna back for his kingdom, then immediately they retire, enthroning their grandson Maharaj Parikshit on the throne of Hastinapur. And then how Parikshit Maharaj, it is described that Pandava Mana Vardhana, that whatever glorious character that Pandavas exhibited as great devotees of the Lord, Parikshit Maharaj not just preserved that, but he grew their good name and fame as a great devotee of Lord Krishna by himself being very advanced in devotional service and being completely detached. Like his glorious activities first are mentioned, that how he sees that that episode of Kali Purusha being in the dress of being dressed as a king, but possessing qualities of a Shudra, causing great harm and pain to Dharma in the form of bull and Prithvi Devi, Mother Earth, in the form of the cow, and how being ready to punish Kali Purusha and subsequently Dharma and Mother Earth, the bull and the cow, explaining to Maharaj Parikshit that Kali Purusha, although immediately he might seem to be the cause of our pain, he is not the real cause. And teaching through their own example how we should see the difficulties, the calamities in our own life. And then subsequently how Parikshit Maharaj, his punishment as well as reward to Kali Purusha, where the sages of Naimisharanya are stunned to know that Parikshit Maharaj did not kill Kali Purusha despite his grievous offense of hurting the cow and the bull, and how Parikshit Maharaj, giving shelter to Kali Purusha, at the same time he protected the well-being of his citizens by not letting Kali spread his influence, and how Srila Prabhupada explains that by going into the rain does not necessarily mean that we don't take any protective measure. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that while going into the rain, one can still protect oneself by taking the umbrella. Similarly, the spread of the influence of Kali Yuga doesn't necessarily mean that we also become part of that degradation. He explains that how the process of hearing and chanting of the holy names of the Lord, Suta Goswami explains to the sages of Naimisharanya that Yamaraj, being the great devotee of the Lord, he would also participate in that process, and thus a person can still be saved from the jaws of death if one takes shelter of the hearing and chanting the glorification of the Lord. And then finally, the last but one chapter we see Parikshit Maharaj, how on one excursion, hunting excursion, he becomes tired and overwhelmed by the bodily needs, although a Paramahamsa like him, Bhagavatam mentions, can never be bothered with, or can never be, not bothered is not the right word, can never be overwhelmed with the bodily necessities. But we understand that by the supreme will of the Lord, this particular episode was manifested, where Parikshit Maharaj, he, in a momentary error in judgment, he basically considered Shamika Rishi and the meditation that he was in to be fake. And in order to reward such a sage, he felt that garlanding such a sage with a dead snake is the right way to honor him. And that was in his desperation because of hunger and thirst. And as soon as he was out of the ashram of Shamika Rishi, Parikshit Maharaj, he was deeply resentful of his actions. And Srila Prabhupada explains that how for a devotee who does sincere repentance, how the reactions for the momentary lack of judgment or momentary error in discretion, those are counteracted by the sincere repentance on the part of a sincere devotee. And we saw the famous verses from the 9th chapter, text 31, 32, those verses. And then finally, we see how the various sages, including the great personalities like Narada Muni, Lord Shiva, the Saptarshis, all of them assembled as soon as the news spread about the impending disappearance of Parikshit Maharaj. And they, all of them assembled to show their support to Parikshit Maharaj and committed to be present there till the time Parikshit Maharaj leaves his body. And how Parikshit Maharaj, he double verifies or double confirms the priority that should be in his life for the remaining 7 days period. And although Bhagavatam mentioned that he himself knew very well what is the priority, he wanted to double verify it, double confirm it with the sages, so that he would be able to engage in that activity of devotional service, of hearing about the Supreme Lord with full conviction. And how Shukadev Goswami appears at that particular place, being chased by the women and young children, throwing stones and all that, not understanding his position. But as soon as they see that all the sages standing up on their, in their place, offering their respect to Shukadev Goswami, except for Vyasadev, Narada Muni, and who else? This Parshuram, who is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Apart from these three personalities, everybody else stands up to offer their respect to Shukadev Goswami. And thus the women and children who were chasing him as a madman, they just leave from that place, understanding his exalted position. And Canto 1 ends with these two specific inquiries by Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev Goswami, which we will see in a short while. Ananta Ajiteshwar Prabhu, Hare Krishna, please unmute. You wanted to share anything?
Prabhuji, I had a query.
Yes, Prabhuji.
That why only cow as a species was chosen by Kali Purusha to punish, while cow is the most, he knows that it's most dear to Lord Krishna. Then he, and still cow is being punished in Kali Yuga. So why only cow, Prabhuji?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So first of all, he didn't just choose cow, he chose the cow and the bull. And specifically, this episode, it was demonstrated to explain the impending degradation of people in Kali Yuga, where Bhagavatam mentions that how first cow speaks with bull when bull inquires about her grief, that she says that, my dear Dharma, that you were also earlier standing on 4 legs, and how one by one the legs were cut off, and now you are standing on 1 leg tottering. And then bull also asked to the cow that, are you sad because of any close relative being at a faraway place, or are you sad because of the irresponsible men in the current society not taking the responsibility of the women and children? And like that, he gives so many options, and finally says that, are you sad because of that particular Lord whose presence caused all that opulence on your surface? Finally, he concluding his pastime and going back to Godhead, And then the cow mentioned that how her saubhagya or her greatest fortune is lost because of Lord concluding his pastimes, and how she is very sad in his separation. So this particular episode is as such denoting the impending degradation of the people in Kali Yuga, which is symbolized by the hurt or grief that is being caused to Dharma and the Mother Earth. So is that all right, Prabhuji? So in a way, it is both symbolical as well as it is actual. How it is actual? Because Prabhupada mentions that cow and the bull, which are the most important animals for the well-being and prosperity of the human population, they are neglected in this age of Kali. So this is how it is actual. And how it is symbolic, because the three legs of the bull represent the three legs of the religion, how they are degraded one by one with each age, and how the fourth leg is also tottering in Kali Yuga. So that is symbolical, how the degradation takes place. So is that all right, Ananta Ajiteshwar Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Why these specific animals are chosen and what they represent. So shall we proceed, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Anybody wants to add anything? Hare Krishna. Venkata Narsimha Prabhu, you have unmuted. You have anything to add or share? Hare Krishna. All right. So we proceed. So when we proceed with the slides today, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, you might find slightly back and forth. Like say, for example, in few slides, I have given the breakdown of the sections within chapter 1. And in the next slide, I might still refer to some of the point which is about Canto 2 overall. So don't get confused. In essence, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In essence, what we are going to discuss today, Hare Krishna, all the co-hosts, Lalita Vinodini Mataji, Rasarangini Mataji, do keep an eye on any background sound, because we are otherwise causing distraction to all devotees. Hare Krishna. Yes, Rasarangini Mataji, let me make you co-host.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, as part of our discussion today, consider that we are still going to deep dive and understand the background for Shukadev Goswami's response to Maharaj Parikshit. So, to understand that background, we will have to go back and forth into the details of chapter 1, text 1 as well as background to Canto 2. So, please don't get confused. So, Shukadev Goswami's response to Maharaj Parikshit. Now here, before discussing that, let us quickly revise what were the two set of questions that Maharaj Parikshit posed to Shukadev Goswami. And I'm calling it set of questions because for the first question, there were two sub-questions. And second question was unique question as such. Anybody, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what were the two set of questions?
The first question, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prema Prakash Haridas Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
The first question which was asked in verse 37 of the last chapter is the Sandhya and the Sadhana. And the second set of questions which was asked in the next verse 38 of 19th chapter is about what and what not to be the HCRW, I mean, chanting,
hearing, chanting, remembering, and worshipping. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, very plain English. First set of questions was what is the prime duty of people in general and specifically of a man who is about to die? That was the first set of questions. And second, as Prabhuji mentioned, what one should do, that means one should hear about, chant, remember and worship, and what one shouldn't do. So these were the two set of questions that were posed by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukadev Goswami. And the answers by Shukadev Goswami to these questions, he begins with answering the second question first, which means what should not be done and That is the first set of answer that Shukadev Goswami gives. What shouldn't be heard and remembered. So he describes a Grahamedi's life, how they are mostly interested in something because of lack of knowledge of the soul. And then he begins to answer the first set of questions, that what is the prime duty of people in general and prime duty of a man who is about to die. He starts his answers with the glorification of Bhakti Yoga. And we will find both the set of question as well as the corresponding answer by Shukadev Goswami being exactly similar to the questions posed by Naimisharanya and the beginning of the answer by Suta Goswami, glorifying the process of devotional service. Also, one thing, if we note here, Prabhuji's Mataji's in the Canto 2, that this is the first time in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami is beginning to speak. Who did we have as the speakers in Canto 1, Prabhuji's Mataji's, primarily? Who did we have? Yes.
Suta Goswami.
Suta Goswami,
Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishi.
Shaunakadi Rishi, the sages of Naimisharanya. And at the very fag end of Canto 1, we had Parikshit Maharaj asking few questions to Shukadev Goswami. But mainly these first two set of personalities, Suta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya. Of course, somebody can say the prayer offered by Vyasadeva and all, but it is just the prayer. It is not exactly a person speaking to somebody else. Primary speakers are these three personalities, the sages of Naimisharanya, Suta Goswami, and in minute part, Parikshit Maharaj. But this is the first time Shukadev Goswami, who is the primary speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He starting to speak. And in his glorification of the Bhakti Yoga, he uses a very specific word, Harer Nama Anukirtanam. This word comes in the 10th or 11th verse in Canto 2, chapter 1. Any, maybe give a thought, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, have we heard this word before? Where did we hear this word? This word was repeated by another personality in Canto 1. Anyone? Okay. Yes, correct. Who answered? Murli Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Narad Muni. Narad Muni to whom?
To Vyasadeva.
To Vyasadeva, right. So in
the end of his conversation.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Narad Muni, in his critical assessment of the work that was composed by Srila Vyasadeva, he mentions that what is lacking in Vyasadev's writing is Hari Nama Anukirtanam. The word used is Hari, and here it is used as Harer Nama Anukirtanam. But it means the same thing. Anukirtanam means repeated glorification of the name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So that repeated glorification was missing from what Srila Vyasadeva had composed till then. And here as well, Shukadev Goswami mentions this particular activity of repeated glorification of the name, form, qualities, pastime as the main topic that one should hear about, one should chant, one should remember, one should worship, and one should glorify. So glorification of the Bhakti Yoga, it constitutes the first part of Canto 2. Then subsequently, before beginning to answer the subsequent inquiries being put forth by Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadev Goswami, he encourages Maharaj Parikshit. Like we see that it is mentioned that for a doctor, half of the patient's misery is gone just by the reassurance given by the doctor, even before the actual treatment begins. Have you heard that, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? So, similarly, Shukadev Goswami, he also encourages and reassures Maharaj Parikshit that, my dear Maharaj Parikshit, you don't worry, even if you may have 7 days and nights to live before your impending death. There have been personalities who had much less time than you, and specifically, he gives the example of Maharaj Khatwanga, who had only about 1 muhurta, which is equivalent to about 45 to 48 minutes of time when he came to know about his impending departure after asking the Devatas, after having fought on the side of Devatas for so long against the Asuras, and Devatas have given him boon to answer to any of his inquiries. Khatwanga Maharaj asked about time remaining in his life. And within that 45-48 minute short period of time, how Khatwanga Maharaj perfected his life. So Shukadev Goswami gives encouragement to Parikshit Maharaj that you as well definitely stand a very good chance to perfect your life. So don't worry too much. And then we see a major part of this particular Canto 2, it deals with bit of technical details, including the eightfold yogic exercise, the Ashtanga Yoga, as well as the description of the Virata Rupa, the universal form. In fact, if I'm not wrong, at 3 different places within Canto 2, we have the description of Virata Rupa spanning across 5 different chapters. So you see total number of chapters in Canto 2 are 10. And within that 10 chapters, 5 chapters, they do have references, description of Virata Rupa, which is considered as the material form of the Supreme Lord, which is considered as the form which does not exist in the spiritual world, which is considered as the form which is temporarily manifested. That means it is only for a temporary period of time. It is not like any other forms of the Lord, which are all eternal, including Vamana Dev, including Parshuram, Lord Ramachandra, Narsimhadev, Matsya Avatar, Hamsa Avatar. All other forms of the Lord, they are considered as eternal. They eternally exist in the spiritual world, but not for Virata Rupa. So we will try and see a bit more into details as part of discussion today, why it is important to understand the material potencies, vibhutis of the Lord, and the relationship of this particular description of Virata Rupa with the title of this particular chapter. And what is that title? The first step in self-realization. So how both of these are connected, we will try and discuss. Any question, Prabhujis, Matajis, before we proceed? Hare Krishna.
So far, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Not too complicated, right? Anybody is feeling sleepy or bit confused?
No, no problem. Not at all. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. So let us start with one of the quotation by our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, which is from one of the purports from the last chapter. Anybody would like to read through Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. Gita Pradeep Mataji. Hare Krishna. Unmute. Gita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Srila Prabhupada Vacha, duty of a dying man. In this verse, the king has placed 2 questions before the learned sages. The first question is, what is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? And the second question is, what is the specific duty of one who is to die very shortly? Out of the 2, the question relating to the dying man is most important because everyone is dying. Everyone is a dying man, either very shortly or after 100 years. The duration of life is immaterial, but the duty of a dying man is very important. Maharaja Parikshit placed these 2 questions before Sukadeva Goswami, also on his arrival, and practically the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning from the 2nd canto up to the last, the 12th canto, deals with these 2 questions. The conclusion arrived at thereof is that devotion service of the Lord Krishna, as it is confirmed by the Lord himself in the last phases of the Bhagavad Gita, is the last word in relation to everyone's permanent duty in life. Srila Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.19.24 purport.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So here, Srila Prabhupada makes a point in between in his purport, saying the duration of life is immaterial, but the duty of a dying man is very important. And this particular point is also stressed by Shukadev Goswami in Canto 2. if you see verses, oh, sorry, I should not have seen verses. I should have mentioned chapters. So this is a slight error. I will correct it. So in chapter 12 to 14, it is described by Shukadev Goswami how the quantity of life is immaterial. And there are so many beautiful set of verses which personally inspired me when I heard them first time. Like Shukadev Goswami gives so many analogies. He says that even the trees, they live for very long. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that there are trees present right now on the earth, like say, for example, redwood trees. They have been living so long, few hundreds of years, and probably they were there even when Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present on the surface of earth. But is there any value to the lives of such trees compared to the value of somebody who may have lived for a shorter duration of time, but has had a much greater impact on the world? And we see so many great personalities, like say, for example, Lord Jesus Christ. How many years did he live, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Jesus Christ? Sorry, come again.
33.
33.
Yeah, around 30s and 40s, not beyond that, around 33 years. How long did Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't want to use the word leave, okay, but lived or stay on this earth? Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these we should know accurately.
44 years?
48.
48 years, 48 years. And other great personalities, say Adi Shankaracharya, how
32.
32. So we see that all these personalities have had such great impact on the mankind, though the duration of life was very small. So similarly, Shukadev Goswami explains that quantity of life is not that important as the quality. He mentions that better a moment of full consciousness about ourselves, about the Supreme Lord, is much, much better than the long, long life in forgetfulness of Krishna. And there are so many inspiring verses where he mentions that how even the, what he calls, of the blacksmith, what is it called, that he uses to, for the airflow on the iron so that it becomes very, very hot, red hot. I forgot the word in English.
Blower?
Yeah, bellows. Even the bellows of the blacksmith, they also breathe. Then what is the meaning of the lungs breathing for a man if he is not Krishna conscious? And he mentioned that what is the need? Of course, don't consider like immediate renunciation and all that, but these are very important and inspiring set of verses where this point is discussed by Shukadev Goswami. So we'll go through those. The urgency of taking up to Krishna consciousness and urgency of perfecting our life. This is what Shukadev Goswami stresses to Parikshit Maharaj. Yes. So we need to see why did Srila Prabhupada title this particular chapter in Canto 1 as the first step in God realization. When we see that a major part of this particular chapter that we discussed a while ago, this particular Canto 2, a while ago, it is devoted to description of technical topics like Virata Rupa, like the universal form. Why, how these two are interlinked. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So how these two are interlinked, understanding the universal form, why it is important for devotees. So if we analyze the middle section of Bhagavad Gita, because middle section is considered like the crux, like the most important part of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada mentions in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, he gives the analogy of a jewelry box, like which contains, so it has the coverings on the top, at the bottom, and in between it contains the jewel, which is the most important part in a jewelry box. Or devotees, they also give the comparison analogy with a sandwich. So the most important part of the sandwich is the feeling. A sandwich is known by the feeling, whether it is veg sandwich, whether it is falafel, and so on and so forth. So in between 7 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, they are like the crux, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. They talk about Bhakti Yoga. But even if we analyze this 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita in detail, let us see some of the verses. Like beginning of 7th chapter, Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kham Manor Buddhir Evacha, Lord Krishna mentions about the material energies of the Lord. And then he mentions briefly about the spiritual energy, the superior energy, the jiva, which he calls as a prameyam, as something which is beyond the material energy, as the spirit soul. And then he subsequently goes on to describe the interactions of that material energy, first with himself, how the material energy works under his supervision, and the interactions of that material energy with the jivas. And that's how the 7th chapter progresses, which is entitled The Knowledge of the Absolute. Then the 8th chapter, which is in English, Srila Prabhupada has titled as Attaining the Supreme. Here also we see that while there are verses referring to pure devotional service, in each of these chapters, a major part of these chapters is also dedicated to discussing about something which deals with Lord's material potencies. So chapter 8, we see Yoga Mishrita Bhakti, where how one who is endowed with Bhakti, he can attain perfection. The path of light and the path of darkness is described. The 9th chapter, which is known as the Raja Vidya, the king of all knowledge, here also we see the beginning, Lord Krishna begins with Avyakta Murtina, talking about his universal form, talking about his impersonal form. So here I need to correct the alignment. So by me, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So we see that all these material potencies, as well as the description of the unmanifested form or the universal form of the Lord, it consumes so many verses, it consumes so much space, even in the primary part, the crux of Bhagavad Gita, which is the middle portion of Bhagavad Gita, talking about devotional service. So why this is important? Understanding the material potencies and even the material form of the Lord, the universal form. So Srila Prabhupada gives one purport. Shama Gopika Mataji, you wanted to ask or share something? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, I just wanted to answer one of the point why it is discussed.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So basically, first, we relate to our surroundings. So whatever we see in the surroundings, to know that Krishna is greater than like for example, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, Krishna gives the of the mountains, I am Himalayas. And similarly, then we come to know that from our surroundings we see, and then we know the greatness of the God. He is even better than the best of the universe that we can see and relate to. And also because we want to know our origin also. Like in Sankhya Yoga, we say that how we came into existence in the universe. So by that also we come to know that Krishna is our Father, Supreme Father, and what is our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Shama Gopika Mataji, for mentioning. So Srila Prabhupada explains this point, that how for a beginner in Krishna consciousness who has not yet come to the level of pure devotional service, for him to be able to relate to Supreme Lord at the platform of his senses, it is very, very important for us to understand this material form of the Lord. And there is also one beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita in 10th chapter, text 7. Mataji, you want to read this? Shama Gopika Mataji? Or any other devotees?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to Him. This factual knowledge can be known from the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures. Bhagavad Gita 10.7 purport.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here Srila Prabhupada explains very systematically why it is important for us to know the vibhutis or the material opulences of the Lord in order to appreciate Lord's position. Prabhupada writes this wonderful statement that people know that God is great, but they do not know how He is great. They do not know in detail how God is great. So it is very important for us to know how God is great, what are His vibhutis. Only then we will be fixed in our devotional service. Otherwise, our devotion to Krishna, it will be on a very fragile platform that today we are devotees of Krishna. Tomorrow some difficulties come in life. We won't mind taking shelter of any devata or any other great personality apart from Krishna. For our devotion to Lord Krishna to be firm, it is very, very important for us to have a very in detail, in-depth understanding of Krishna, his opulences, his material energies, how those energies work. It is all part of Lord's vibhuti. Any question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, anyone wants to share any thought on this? So some of these topics, they might seem very technical, but it is still very important for us to read them and try to understand them to the best of our ability for us to be firm in our devotional service. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? If not, we proceed.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Can you
Krishna.
go to the first slide?
Yes.
First slide.
Yes, Prabhuji. Before this?
Before this.
Okay.
Because I think you said you put it correctly, but then
you tell me on which slide?
Yeah, because where we discussed about this is the chapter wise one, and the next slide, you go to the next slide. Yes. No, I think this slide after this, after this, because you're mentioning about the verses there. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. It's not chapters, Prabhuji, here. I think it's verses only.
Verses only? Okay. Oh, sorry. I said chapter summary. Sorry. I got confused. Sorry, Prabhuji. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is about the verses.
Verses.
It's
yes,
not
sir.
about. So I thought that was the.
Sure. Yeah, and chapters are not 39, verses are 39. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, and because you have already covered the chapter, Canto 2 summary in the previous slide.
Yes.
Here you are covering only the verses summary.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. Hare Krishna. So we proceed. That why description or learning about the universal form of the Lord at so many places, like as I mentioned in Canto 2, we have this description coming about 3 different places. In Canto 3 also we have this description of the universal form of the Lord again coming. So don't get confused why so many technical details. So first level of understanding of the Lord, as Shama Gopika Mataji mentioned a while ago, is to appreciate the material potencies, the vibhutis of the Lord. That is the first level of understanding of the Supreme Lord. Then, because these vibhutis or the universal form as such, it is considered as coming from Purush Avatara, specifically from Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. So understanding the Purush Avataras, which are mainly responsible for the creation and maintenance, the day-to-day running of this cosmic manifestation of this material world. These Purusha Avataras are creating and running it. Krishna himself does not have to create or run it. His expansions of the expansions of the expansions, they take care of this particular task. So next appreciation or understanding of Krishna is in terms of his Purusha avtaras, namely Karnodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshay Vishnu. And then after that, the understanding of the Supreme Lord at his highest position as Akhila Rasamrita Murti, the reservoir of all pleasure, specifically that Lord who exchanges rasa, who exchanges mellows with his different devotees. Understanding of Krishna at that level is the highest understanding. But that will come only when we have cleared level 1 and level 2 understanding. So anyone, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, this is a question from quite a while ago. Anyone recollects where did we hear this word again during Bhakti Shastri discussion? Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Who mentions this word?
Goswami,
Very nice. Rupa Goswami mentions this particular quality of Krishna using or addresses Krishna using this particular quality of his, which is the quality of exchanging mellows, different rasas with the devotees. Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So this is the highest platform of understanding Krishna. Is everyone still with me, Prabhuji? Are we all together? Any question, query?
Just one doubt. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Akhila Rasamrita Murti means all the 5 rasas you mean, or only the highest rasa?
All the rasas. In fact, they are not even 5. Rupa Goswami mentions 5 primary
5 plus,
and
yeah, 7.
7 secondary. 12 rasas.
So all of them put together is okay.
Yes, yes. Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, what are the Chatushpad Vibhutis of the Lord?
Chatushpad Vibhutis. Hare Krishna.
I just read into Brahma Samhita yesterday, but it was not described that way. So if you could kindly share.
Let me check, Prabhuji. Okay. Hare Krishna. Chatushpad Vibhutis. So then next is, how did Srila Prabhupada plan these 12 cantos or the titles of these 12 cantos? As such, we have discussed this before during the orientation session. Srila Prabhupada referred to the commentaries prominently of 5 acharyas, starting with Sridhar Swami, of Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his spiritual master Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and one more, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So how did Srila Prabhupada title these cantos, and is the current title that we see for these cantos, have they been given by Srila Prabhupada? So the answer to the second question is both yes and no. We will see how it is both yes and no, and where did Srila Prabhupada, based on what Srila Prabhupada give the titles for these cantos. So before we go into the titles, let me just escape and show you one particular point. So there are 10 principal topics in Srimad Bhagavatam, as you might have heard in various classes, etc. So these topics you can find on multiple sites. So here I have given references from ISKCON Desire Tree. So these 10 principal topics that are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, they are also mentioned in one of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. In 2.10.1, Shukadev Goswami mentions, Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayaha. This is Poshanam Utayaha. Manvantara Ishanu Katha Nirodha Mukti and Ashraya. So if we count this, these are the 10 different principal topics that are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the titles that have been given by predecessor acharyas and specifically by Srila Prabhupada, for us, they are based on connection of these cantos with those respective 10 topics. So first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first and second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are considered like the prelude. So the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we have the definition of absolute truth, Srila Prabhupada titled this particular canto as the absolute truth. But what is the title we see, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, on our first canto? Anyone? You can refer to your first canto at home. Creation. So where is this absolute truth title coming from Srila Prabhupada? This is mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's Jaladuta diary, where he envisions how the cantos should be titled. And where is the title creation is coming from? It is coming from BBT, who are nothing but empowered representatives of Srila Prabhupada, who Srila Prabhupada trusted with publishing his book. And this title was given right when Srila Prabhupada was still on this earth. So there is no controversy. This is just to understand where is the title coming from. Because first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about the principles of creation. That's why BBT has named canto 1 as creation. So don't get confused. Both the titles are absolutely fitting. Second canto, Srila Prabhupada named, titled as Symptoms of Objectivity or Transcendental Knowledge. Now from the third canto onwards, Srila Prabhupada and the predecessor acharyas as well, they relate the 10 principal topics of Srimad Bhagavatam with cantos 3 to cantos 12. And we will see in what particular order. So this is very important, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, because it will also come when we proceed with chapter 1. So don't think this as out of the box. Third canto, so basically the description of the Sarga, the primary creation, it spans across both canto 2 and canto 3, but primarily the description of creation by Lord Krishna, it comes in canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called as Sarga. Sarga means primary creation. Can anybody explain very briefly, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what is the primary and secondary creation? Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prem Prakash Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Primary creation is the creation of the cosmic manifestation that we see across without Prakriti or Pradhana. The Prakriti or Pradhana or the living entities and the Prakriti are then put up as the secondary creation created by Brahma.
Yes, very nice explanation, Prabhuji. And we had also discussed this point in the beginning chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Upadana cause and what was the other? Physical and material. These two causes for the creation were discussed. Sorry?
Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam.
Nimitta Karan and Upadana Karan. These two we had discussed with the example of a potter. So these actually begin in canto 3 onwards, which is the process of primary and secondary creation. So primary creation primarily is described in canto 3, which is called as creation of material worlds. This is the title given by Prabhupada, which refers to Sarga topic. Then subsequently in canto 4, we have the secondary creation, as just mentioned by Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhuji, where the subsequent creators after Lord Krishna, including Lord Brahma, who is the first created being in this world. Then immediate children of Lord Brahma, who are the Prajapatis. Prajapatis including Daksha, including Manu, including the children of Manu, like Maharaj Uttanapat, Priyavrat. So all those descriptions begin in canto 4. And we also have story of the son of Maharaj Uttanapat, Dhruva Maharaj, so on and so forth. So that's why this is entitled as sub-creators. Then canto 5, where basically Sthanam, which is the third topic out of the 10 principal topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam. Sthanam means the planetary systems that are described. So this title is self-explanatory. Then 6th canto is entitled as Poshanam. Poshanam, as the word suggests, it describes the Lord as the nourisher, as the protector of the devotees. And we see different supporting evidences in the form of stories of Ajamel, Vratrasur, Indra, where Lord personally protected these personalities. Say in case of Ajamel, although he committed so many sinful activities, because he took the holy name of the Lord at the fag end of life, not even to call the Lord, but to call his youngest child, Narayan. Lord Vishnu gave him benefit of doubt and showed us the potency of chanting of the holy name. Vratrasur, although he was fallen from his exalted position, that of who was Vratrasur before? What is it called? The
Chitraketu.
no, yeah, Chitraketu, but Chitraketu, after Chitraketu, what body did he receive of the higher planetary system? Vidyadhar, no, forgot. Like the Devatas, the name is from V, but I'm Vidyadharas. So he is one of the person of the higher planetary system after the life of
Gandharva.
No, not Gandharva. Vidyadharas, I believe. I will confirm in a while once I recollect. So how, when he fell down because of the curse of Mother Parvati in the body of an Asura, how did Lord Krishna still offer him protection? Or Indra, so many pastimes about Indra falling from his position, but how Lord Krishna specifically took care to salvage Lord Indra in that fallen condition to bring him back up to his exalted position. So this is the topic of Poshanam, how Lord Krishna protects and nourishes the devotional service of devotees. Then the next topic out of these 10 principal topics is the topic of Uti, or which is also known as Utayaha, which is the creative impetus, which nothing but how the impressions that we inherit or that we collect, accrue in so many of our past lives, how those impressions manifest in our actions. So we see the story of Prahlad Maharaj, who received those spiritual impressions from Narada Muni, his guru, right before his birth, while he was still in mother's womb, Kayadu's womb, and how those impressions manifested in the form of his devotional service after Prahlad Maharaj came out of the mother's womb. And right from the beginning of his life, how he exhibited the qualities of a pure devotee. And in contrast to Prahlad Maharaj, the life of Hiranyakashipu, how his very conception in mother's womb all happened in not so correct or not so right circumstances, where Diti, she desired a child and desired to unite with Kashyapa Muni at an inappropriate time, and how as a result, these very demoniac personalities were conceived in her womb, and how those impressions that these personalities carried in their mother's womb because of being conceived at inappropriate time, they were manifested in his aspirations and actions when he came out. And Varnashram institution is described in this particular canto, where how based on those impressions from the past life, one can channelize those impressions to grow in one's spiritual life is described through the Varnashram institution. And then 8th canto. So what is the connection between Manvantara and the previous cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam? So in the earlier cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, when the Sarga was being described, Sarga and Visarga, Parikshit Maharaj does inquire Shukadev Goswami, from Shukadev Goswami, to describe all the 14 Manus that were created from Lord Brahma as the Prajapatis, as one of the first set of Prajapatis. But the description of the descendants of first Manu, who is the Swayambhuva Manu, it spans from Canto 4 up till Canto 4, 5, 6 and 7. So Parikshit Maharaj brings Shukadev Goswami back to his inquiry that till now you have described only Swayambhuva Manu, but I wish to hear about all the Manus and their descendants. So those are covered in brief in the 24 chapters in Canto 8, which is entitled as Manvantara. So why it is entitled as Manvantara? Because there are 6 different personalities who are involved along with Manu in the carrying out of the universal affairs. And the 6 personalities are, first is Manu himself. There are total 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. Then second is the Manvantara Avatar, which is Lord appearing in that particular lifetime of Manu in his incarnation. So that is called as Manvantara Avatar. Then the sons of Manu, the Manu Putras, then various devatas like Indra is different in each Manu. Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all these are positions and they are occupied by different jivas in different Manvantaras. Then Saptarshis, these are also various positions which are occupied by various jivas in various Manvantaras. Then Indra, one of the devatas. So various devatas, Saptarshis and Indra, these collective 6 group of personalities, they manage the day-to-day affairs of the universe during the life of each Manu. So they are described in 8th canto that in this particular life of Manu, this was the incarnation of the Lord. These personalities were the Saptarshis, these personalities were the devatas, these personalities were the Manuputras, and this personality was the Indra. So that is all described. Prema Priya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you said Chandra, Varuna, they're all positions, no?
Yes, yes.
Then we say moon, no? Moon is Chandra, is it not?
Yes, yes. So that, yeah. So in the current Manvantara, that particular Devata position is being represented, is being taken by one of the Jiva souls, one of the Jivas.
I couldn't understand that, Prabhuji, this concept.
So like say, for example, Defense Minister of India, who is the current Defense Minister? Rajnath Singh.
Yeah.
So Rajnath Singh is the Defense Minister. Is that true? Yes, but it is temporarily true. Before this government, there was another Defense Minister. After this government, there can be another Defense Minister, like that.
But then Chandra keeps on changing?
The Jiva who occupies that position. So Chandra is same, but that position is occupied by different Jivas.
Which Jiva is occupying now, Prabhuji?
So I don't know the name of the Jiva, Mataji. Okay. But he is known as Chandra right now. So,
okay.
So similarly for other Devatas also, Indra is also, different personalities are supposed to take over this position. Okay.
Surya is not like that.
Surya, also all the Devatas, Surya, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, except for Shivji, whose origin is the Sadashiv, 11 Rudras. Except for Shivji, all other Devatas, including Brahma, Indra, Chandra, Varun. Of course, Brahma is not changing in each Manu, but all other Devatas, they are changing in each Manu.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes,
Hare.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Is this too technical? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prema Prakash Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So 7 is the creative impetus as it is mentioned here.
Yeah.
If we look at the printed books, then Canto 5 is said to be the creative impetus.
Hang on, just 1 second. Let me make it big. Can somebody just double check Prabhuji's, Mataji's and confirm? So anyway, one thing is
confirm, Prabhuji, because
sure,
we
sure.
just
You have it in front
in the morning.
Sure. So these current titles as such are given by BVT Prabhuji's, Mataji's, and these are the titles from the Jaladuta diary, from Srila Prabhupada's diary. Okay? And
Okay,
Hare Krishna, 1 second. Let me just...
Hare Krishna.
1 second. Yes, creative impetus. I just saw it. But these are the titles from Jaladuta diary, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Okay, maybe I will double check if I have done any mistake here in noting. I will just check it from my side as well. But Utaya is true. Utaya means how the impressions that we accrue, they result in our actions. That is true, and which is also correlating to the 10 principal topics of Bhagavatam. So Manvantara, we just, and within this description of the Manvantaras, Shukadev Goswami describes how in one Manvantara, Lord appears in the incarnation. Lord takes the incarnation of Lord Hari and he delivers Gajendra, and Parikshit Maharaj immediately becomes inquisitive. that great devotee in the elephant form, Gajendra, how was he delivered by the Lord? And then the Gajendra Moksha description is detailed out by Shukadev Goswami. Similarly, in another Manvantara, Lord appears as Lord Ajita, and how he facilitates the Samudra Manthan Leela, how he facilitates the churning of the milk ocean, and that pastime is also detailed out by Shukadev Goswami. So originally in the Jaladuta diary, Srila Prabhupada had titled this canto as The Change of Manpower. But anybody can confirm, Prabhuji's Mataji's, how it is titled currently? Canto 8, if you have Srimad Bhagavatam in front.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is
Withdrawal of Cosmic Creations.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So then we proceed. And then Canto 9, which is like once we have the impressions about the Lord and we have the nourishment from the Lord, Utayaha, and then we engage in the process of hearing about the Lord, then next comes the Bhajana Kriya, which is manifested in the form of the various Isha Anukathas, where the short stories about various incarnations of the Lord, like we see short description about Lord Ramachandra and about various other incarnations of the Lord also as part of Canto 9. So which is called as Isha Anukatha, which is one of the 10 topics. Now 10th canto is referred to as Ashraya because Krishna as the cause of all causes, or this canto 10 is entitled as the Samam Bonam of Krishna consciousness. So where Lord Krishna's pastimes are given. But if you see the 10th principal topics that are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ashraya is the last, but it is the most important. So Canto 10, it is like the essence of all essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Lord Krishna's pastimes. So it is entitled as Ashraya. And then Canto 1, it is entitled as Mukti, the liberation, where Srila Prabhupada has specifically given the English title in his diary as The Path of Liberation, where through various pastimes like Uddhava Gita and teachings of the Nava Yogendras, the path of liberation through the practice of devotional service is described. And Canto 12 is entitled as Nirodha, the dissolution, where the characteristics of Kali Yuga after the degradation proceeds and how the end will happen with the incarnation of Kalki, the dissolution of the universe, all is described. So typically the cantos from Canto 1 to Canto 12, they proceed in this particular order and they correspond to the 10 principal topics given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, now to do task for me, I just need to double check whether I have heard this correctly. If not, for now, consider the Sanskrit as the correct one. English one, I will double confirm. Thank you, Prema Prakash Prabhu.
Prabhuji, kindly, those 10 principles, can you tell me again?
Yeah, sure. 1 second. I will share the URL only here. So even if you Google 10 principal topics discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find this. 1 second. I just put it, Mataji, on the chat.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, and Srila Prabhupada also mentions this division of the cantos briefly in the summary of Canto 6 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So what Srila Prabhupada did was, since Canto 5 onwards, before the beginning of each canto, in addition to the introduction and foreword, which is already there for each canto, that is uniform, Srila Prabhupada has also specifically given the summary of each canto, and before most of the chapters, Srila Prabhupada has also given the summary of those chapters. So specifically in the Canto 6 summary, Prabhupada mentions, throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, there are descriptions of 10 subject matters, for which the link I have just pasted on the group chat. 1 second. Yeah. There are descriptions of 10 subject matters, including creation, subsequent creation. Subsequent means secondary creation, the planetary systems, so on and so forth. Shukadev Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, has already described creation and subsequent creation and the planetary system in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th cantos. That means creation is Sarga, subsequent creation is Visarga, and planetary system. So I think there is a mistake on my side only, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Here Prabhupada has clearly mentioned Canto 5 as the planetary systems. So apologies for that mistake. Okay, so these three correspond to 3rd, 4th, and 5th cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now means Srila Prabhupada is writing summary to the 6th canto. Therefore, he is saying, now in the 6th canto, which consists of 19 chapters, he will describe, he means Shukadev Goswami, he will describe Poshana, or the protection by the Lord. Is that all right, Prabhuji's Mataji's? So let me just correct it straight away. 1 second. For now, I will keep it as Utaya, and I will see exact word what Srila Prabhupada, English word what Srila Prabhupada used for Utaya. Okay. So with this, we conclude our discussion where we mainly saw the background to the Canto 2, where does it fall in place in terms of the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, the background to the first chapter of Canto 2, how that chapter is divided, and what is the background to Shukadev Goswami's answers to Maharaj Parikshit. And we also had a brief revision connecting all the 19 chapters of Canto 1 and subsequently Canto 1 connection with the Canto 2. Anyone has any questions, queries?
Chapter 2 is secondary creation, Prabhuji.
Canto 2. Canto 2 is Sarga, primary creation.
Primary, yeah. Like this
Okay,
is
but yeah. But what Prabhupada has titled this as cosmic manifestation. Canto 1 is titled by BBT as creation. Canto 2 is titled by Srila Prabhupada as the cosmic manifestation.
Yes.
Okay, and based on the commentary of the Acharyas and what we discussed in the slides, as such, the creation in principle begins primarily from Canto 3 onwards, where we are able to connect each canto with the one principal topic. Is that all right, Prema Priya Mataji?
From 3 it is a creation, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So let me just show it here, this slide. So 3 is the Sarga, 4th is the Visarga, 5th is the Sthanam, 6th is the Poshanam, and so on and so forth. 7th is Uti or Utaya, and so on and so forth. So all the 10 principal topics, they connect one-on-one Canto 3 onwards.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes. And so then question might arise, how do we entitle first and the second cantos? So that different acharyas, based on their inspiration, they have given their thoughts how they should be titled. Srila Prabhupada has titled Canto 1 as the Absolute Truth, primarily because the definition of Absolute Truth it starts with. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Is this confusing?
No. Yes, of course, but
we can look at it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay. In exam, nobody is going to ask you, tell me why the 10 cantos are titled, and even if that is asked, you can explain based on the connection of Canto 3 to Canto 12 with the 10 topics, and first two, how Prabhupada has basically named those, titled those in his diary. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this Sarga and Visarga is forming part of Apara Prakriti, the material creation, right?
Yeah, this is all material creation, the primary and secondary creation of the cosmic manifestation.
So they'll form part of Apara Prakriti, na?
Yeah, so yes, Prabhuji. They are form of Apara Prakriti as per the chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, in detail we will go through when we come to that particular canto, specifically Canto 3, where a very minute sequence of the creation is mentioned, that how from Pradhana, how does the creation begin, how the 3 modes of material nature are created, and how interaction of those 3 modes with ego how it creates the other gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, all this. Okay, so we can go through those technicalities when we discuss Canto 3.
Prabhuji, about the manifestations of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha.
They are not, they are totally transcendental. They are not part of the material creation. They are transcendental. Okay?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prema Prakash Prabhu, yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. There is little confusion. Poshanam or protection, is it equivalent to maintenance? Because we have the creation, maintenance, and dissolution.
Yeah, but this is different. So creation and maintenance and dissolution is typically for cosmic manifestation, this material world. But Poshanam is Lord nourishing the devotional service of his devotees, right from the most hopeless condition to the topmost devotees.
Okay.
So maintenance is of cosmic manifestation, and Lord personally nourishes his devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji's, Mataji's, I see all very quiet. Others, are you still with me? Is it confusing? You take some time to digest, but I felt it is very important to understand the background before directly going into the details of the verses. Maybe I request some of the other devotees. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, Jagadananda Prabhu, is it all right? Ananda Prada Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, this is very good.
Hare Krishna.
It gives a fundamental for all things. So I think it was very useful.
Hare Krishna. And you can also refer to these references at some of the places that I have shared. Okay. Mannat Mataji, Shama Gopika Mataji, Tarini Mataji, User Prabhu, whoever is the devotee, keep your name, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. So I know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is new system, so it's I didn't do.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vivek Sharma Prabhu, Murli Prabhu, other PS Murthy Prabhu, any other questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay.
I think Prabhuji, this was very important.
Yes, one by one. Yes, Prema Prakash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I think this was very important, and clearing these, you clear all the doubts. So these doubts are always there, and then you clear me. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for that one mistake. It might have caused slight confusion, but I will check that. Canto 7 title, English title. Hare Krishna. Ananda Prada Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu,
Yeah, 1 second, PS Murthy Prabhu, I'll just cover this question. Yes, Ananda Prada Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I wanted to ask about the homework that are we going to supposed to send you, or are you going to
upload? We will share the link for upload. And Rasarangini Mataji just requested earlier this morning if devotees can submit the open book essays in 2 tranches. That means for the first open book essay, Mataji requested submission on 18th, the original date. And for the second open book essay, Mataji has requested next Sunday, which is 25th.
Okay. So Prabhuji, like I said, that I will be on vacation, so I want to do something.
You can submit earlier on.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Earlier or 25th, either is fine.
So the link will be uploaded in a couple of days.
Yes, Mataji. So we'll share the link, Google Form link for upload.
Prabhuji, any slot for the 18th examination, Prabhuji?
I will let me announce it max by later, best case by later this evening or by tomorrow morning, because today evening there is a temple program. Okay, I will.
Yeah, important that Transcend has to be downloaded, Prabhuji.
Oh, no. This I have just shared with you as an option. I found it useful. You can consider.
But many books I have, Prabhuji. Most books I'm having.
Come again.
Books mentioned there. Most of the books I'm having, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so no need. So this is, you can just skip it. I just suggested, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. PS Murthy Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I had no questions. It was a wonderful explanation. I wanted to know, I had some point to make.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, I went through all the questions for the open book test, and I was expecting that something, we should provide a more holistic view of all the purports that we have, Prabhupada's purports that we have studied, and present holistic view there. But Prabhu, these are very simple questions.
So,
It does not it does not take any lot of effort to write those things because everything is there in the purport.
Okay,
You
so
put it in different words. But
yes.
I was expecting that all the purports that we have studied in the first canto, Prabhupada's purports, we provide a better view, a holistic view.
Sure. Point
I
taken.
understand. I hope I have made clear.
Yes, Prabhuji. So basically how it happens is for all the unit test, I have myself been setting the question paper. However, for the open book essay question topics, I had basically taken it directly from the handbook. If you feel it is too simple, I can set, but everyone needs to concur.
But Prabhuji, what I feel is, we can spread across, Prabhuji. Though sound looks simple, like in research we don't, we have to go cross.
To be honest, I agree with that point. In fact, as part of the model answer as well, we mentioned, you have all the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, all his lectures, addresses at your disposal to use. So although the question might be specific, the references devotees can still give wide across your spectrum of hearing, reading from Srila Prabhupada books, no other books, and hearing from Srila Prabhupada. So we can still cover various chapters, purports, and not just Canto 1, other lectures as well. Rasarangini Mataji, can we stop recording?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
One second.
You are the host, so you can only stop.
Let me see, how do I stop?
Or you can make me the host.
1 second.